food stamp benefits, not because they made a single mistake, but because a system is unraveling. And yet, rather than face it like adults, we're watching grown people threaten violence, act like children, and treat assistance like a lifestyle instead of a temporary lifeline. This is the Faceless Helpmeet. No face, just real talk. Let's cut through the noise and expose what's really happening with Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as SNAP, in 2025. Who's at risk, why the alarm is ringing now, and what you must do about it. The U.S. is facing what one expert calls the greatest hunger catastrophe in America since the Great Depression. Roughly 42 million people currently receive SNAP benefits. The 2025 United States federal government shutdown has caused a funding freeze. The United States Department of Agriculture warns states benefits may not be payable in November if funding isn't restored. Over the next decade, proposed federal legislation could cut SNAP by at least $230 billion, possibly reducing enrollment by 4 to 5 million people. In Georgia alone, about 1.4 million people, including 640,000 kids, could lose benefits if the shutdown continues. The cuts hit wide. Families with children, older adults, people with disabilities. States will face cost shifts. New York, for example, may have to spend an extra $2.1 billion annually just to maintain current benefits under proposed changes. For many households, the maximum benefit already fails to cover a modest price meal in 2024. In 99% of U.S. counties, the benefit didn't cover the cost of even a modest meal, and the clock is ticking. States warn that if federal funding or contingency funds run out, payments may be delayed or cut as soon as November. And I have seen myself that obviously all over the social media, there are states are already reporting that benefits will not be paid up on November the 1st. So, what do you do in this situation? The best thing to do is to not panic. And I know that that's probably a cliche thing to say, but the if you turn it around, you look at this as an opportunity to actually figure out how to get off of government assistance. And I'm not saying this to be insensitive. I'm saying this because myself, I used to be a SNAP recipient years ago. It was called SNAP, but they still called it food stamps then. And the government does not pay you enough to be on that assistance. They just want you to stay on it because they want you to feel like you need it. You don't need it. You are completely capable and have probably many ideas on how to get off of that assistance. When I was on it, I hated being having the feeling of someone telling me when I could shop, what I could eat, what I couldn't eat. I was getting WIC at that time too. I'm not sure if it's called WIC in all 50 states, but on the West Coast, it's called WIC. And with WIC, you get all these healthy foods for your babies, formula and beans, rice, juice. They really they have a very strict food um, restriction. And you can't get any kind of junk food on WIC whatsoever. It has to be 100% juice. It has to be fruit, frozen fruit, fresh fruit, what have you. No hot stuff, no nothing, because it's just to make sure that you are getting the nutrition for your children. And I didn't like feeling like I had to adhere to what someone was telling me. I made sure that, yes, I needed it for that time, but I didn't want the government telling me when and where I could do what I needed to do. So you have to make the steps to try to find extra work, or go to your local, they should have food banks in certain areas, and I'm pretty sure now they may be overcrowded. um Another thing that I'm seeing that I wanted to touch on is, I see a lot of videos beyond people threatening and saying that they're going to rob the place and they're going to beat people up if they get in the way of all that. I've seen a lot of food hauls where people are buying name brand foods on food stamps. And me being a previous food stamp recipient, the mindset I had then, because of what people were telling me, because the people who were telling me this were on food stamps themselves, is that, well, it's not your money, so just buy what you want. And there is a huge lack of budgeting. It Even though you receive those even though you receive those benefits, budgeting is still wise because you only get it once a month. And I didn't practice that at the beginning. But when I got hold of that, I stopped buying name brand stuff. I stopped having the mentality of, oh, this is just the government's money. Ain't no big deal. I'm just going to buy whatever. I stopped having that mentality and I start making my food. I stopped buying Crustables. Crustables, you need to really, to be real, you really need to make your own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's basically what it is. If you want it in a shape, get a cookie cutter. Don't let these food places, not restaurants, but other food companies trick you into thinking that you need all this convenience. You can make the sandwiches yourself. You can make your food yourself. And if you make the food yourself, it's way better and it's cheaper. I had to learn that the hard way, because I was wondering, why am I constantly broke somewhere mid-month, where then I had to resort to beans and rice because I was buying snack stuff all the time on Snap. And I'm gonna sound I'm not trying to sound insensitive and I'm not trying to judge. I'm speaking from experience. I had to learn the hard way. And then when I finally realized, then that's when, like I said, I didn't want to be on that anymore. I made the steps for myself necessary to get off of that. And to this day, I still budget. Even though I buy my food cash, I still budget. Budgeting is important. And they want you, they don't want you to succeed. The government don't want you to succeed at all. And they probably smiling and laughing at all this stuff that's going on right now. States, like I said, like New York, they're gonna have to pay a lot. And that's just an example. But assistance is supposed to be temporary. This isn't supposed to be a lifelong thing, and it's not supposed to be generational. I've lived in areas where women, families are telling their older children, get on assistance, get on Section 8. If you need it, that is one thing, but it is temporary. This is not a generational thing that you pass on to your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. It is for when you are in dire straits. It is not to something that's supposed to be on a monthly, to where you are expecting it. Using it as a permanent substitute for income, wealth building, or adult financial responsibility is a trap. And I'm seeing tons of videos of grown people throwing, with the insults and the talking about violence and all that. This is very unwise. Many on Snap treat it like it's a paycheck, buying frozen meals. Look, oh my goodness. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And like I said, I could vouch because I've been there. Where I lived, we called it first of the month love. This is when all the couples come out, first of the month, and they shop. This is when you see the dads, because usually the dads, you don't see them. Where I lived at that time, we didn't see them at all. They come around when it's time to grocery shop. They would help put anything in their cart that they wanted to, three carts at a time. Kids running around. They so happy that the benefits came. Nobody's taking showers. Everybody's hair crazy, wearing scarves, slippers to the store, pajamas, crazy. And this is a curse. Like every single month this is happening. And you could tell when the payments would subside or when the food was low, because that's when everybody start fighting. And when it was toward the beginning of the month, it will start all over again. Frozen food in Walmart and the frozen food section will be gone the first week or two of the month because nobody cooks in these areas. And what I'm seeing this in the videos with the food stamp hauls, nobody's cooking. They're microwaving so many things. And do you guys realize that this is also connected to your health care? When you're buying all this frozen food, that stuff is so full of preservatives. And you see these people are so overweight. They don't know what they don't know what to do. They don't know where it's coming from. They don't know where the high blood pressure is coming from. Because it's coming from the food that you're eating, the microwave. You're microwaving your food. You're not making your food. And this is all from the first of the month when you think that your primary food source is those frozen foods. No, you need to do actual grocery shopping. I know that there's this is an actual a saying where they say how the grocery store is set up. It's like set up for your failure or based on your appetite. Everything that's on the outside, when you walk inside of a grocery store, everything that's on the outside, it's produce, meats, all those things. Those are the things that you should be buying, but everything that you shouldn't be buying is positioned right in the middle of the store. That's where all your processed, your sugar cereals and your, all the box stuff, chips and all that. That's where all that stuff is. I see a lot of cooking from like buying of lobsters and steaks and things like that on food stamps. And like I said, it's that whole mentality. Well, it's not my money, because I know that some people who had got off of that, not only myself, but that's some expensive stuff. And even people who have money don't buy that on the regular because meat is expensive, especially now. So it's you have to change the mentality, and the whole thing with no budgeting is serious. And before when I was on the program, like I said, I wasn't cooking from scratch, but I had to learn how to cook from scratch. I had to learn not to buy stuff so much from the middle of the store, mostly buying all my meats and freezing it. Get your fundamentals. If you like pancakes, if you like cupcakes, if you like to bake, but make sure you always have flour. Make sure you always have sugar, yeast, butter, oil, eggs, milk, beans, rice, cornmeal, stuff that can stay on your shelf. Because if you're buying crazy amounts of chips, processed meats, frozen foods. Those that stuff is gone within the first 2 weeks of the month, if that, maybe less. And then you wonder why your appetite can't be satiated. And it's I see so many people on YouTube who are overweight. And this is from not only eating the wrong foods, but eating more of the wrong foods because they're not cooking their own meals and they don't know what they're ingesting. So you need to know how to cook from scratch. If you rely on SNAP, you need to check your state's current status. And are you still eligible under upcoming rules? Because I have a really bad feeling that after November, when we already know that November is the cutoff. They already said that the first, no one's getting their benefits. What is going to happen in December? What are you going to do for December? What if they decide they want to go in for another month? You have to know what to do because they're not thinking about you. They're only thinking about themselves. The government is not thinking about you. So what are you going to do if your benefits are not going to show up in December as well? Because like I said, I have a bad feeling they might try to push that thing to December, or they might try to say there's some kind of a government error. And when they do restore benefits back, they might not restore the full amount of what you're owed. So that's why at this time, I think you should use it as an opportunity to make plans on getting off of SNAP. Learn how to cook your food from scratch. Budget for a month. Understand food prices. Frozen meals and luxury food items may feel comfortable and convenient. And I know that. Especially I'm seeing a lot of, French toast sticks and hamburger helper. And now, I'll be honest, I still do, I still do noodles. That's just a convenience for the children. But these things, they don't build independence. View these benefits as transitional, not lifelong. Set a goal to exit the program within a certain amount of time. What are your job skills, your income changes? These are things that we have to think about. Use your faith, your community, your resources. See if there's food banks in your area, food pantries in your area. Don't treat the government as your God. If your faith is in a check from them, then you're vulnerable. And they will continuously tell you what to do, when you can do it, and what you can't do. Educate others in your circle. Stop the media fit about benefits being cut. Grown people, we need to act more responsibly and use our voices for solutions and not threats. So share this live stream. And someone may be oblivious to what's going on. If you have a network, talk to them. Watch the timelines. Make sure you know what's going on with the shutdown as it continues. Obviously the benefits have stopped. So it's important that you prepare. And so here's a takeaway from everything. SNAP was never meant to be a lifestyle. It's a safety net, not a safety hammock. If you treat it as a permanent in your life, you're planting dependence and not independence. The system around you is shifting. The question isn't if your benefits will change. It's when and how prepared you will be. If you got value from this, subscribe to The Faces Help Me. I deliver raw, no fluff commentary. And one thing I wanted to put out there too before I close is if you are a person who uses food delivery services like Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, etc., there is a concern, because I am a customer as well, that maybe someone who could take advantage of this situation, someone who uses those delivery services as a second means of income. If they are an EBT recipient, or if, like I said, if someone who wants to take advantage of the situation, they may be concerned that your food may be stolen from, maybe some driver may use, like I said, take advantage and decide that they want to take people's food. I think that until the shutdown is over, maybe you should decide on how to handle your food deliveries, whether it's you go to the grocery shopping yourself, with someone to help you, or or some other means, because that is a concern. For me personally, it's a concern. I use Instacart all the time, and I do have, issues where sometimes people don't show up, and that's because maybe they may get lost or something like that. But now the concern is, what if your purchases get taken? So I think in that in itself, you should start making adjustments just until this situation is, with the government shutdown, is taken care of. So that way your purchases won't be stolen. So, like I said, stay ahead of the systems that weren't built for you to stay, that they're not built for you. Stay ahead of the system. Share this live stream with someone who needs to hear it. Your next move matters.